Hey, welcome to another episode of Ask the Abbey. It's great to see everybody. I'm Will Howard, the senior warden here, and I'm not joined by Alan Hughes this week. Alan is on vacation, but I'm grateful to have Scott Kramer, who is chairing our search committee, and come with us, and we're going to talk a little bit about some questions that we've gotten related to the search process and kind of how all that is going. And hopefully you all were able to hear from Bob Grant this Sunday. Had a wonderful service on Sunday, and during the announcement period, Bob was able to give us what I thought was a great overview of where we are. But we wanted to kind of reiterate some of those points and then answer some specific questions that have come in over the last week. So, Scott, first, thank you for serving and being willing to chair that committee. It's a lot of work, I know, that those 7 folks will put in, so we appreciate that. Could you just kind of recap what Bob mentioned and kind of where we are with the whole search process as he did on Sunday?
Definitely. First of all, it's an honor. We're all honored to be on that committee. It's a great group of people. We've started working together. We've gotten a few meetings together, and we've developed this initial process. We've developed a web link on the Abbey at Pawleys Island, or the abbeypawleysisland.com website. Under new rector search, we've got an email address that the candidates can send their information to. We've got a questionnaire. We've got some kind of guidelines and some of the AMIA directives on that link. And so it just helps us to kind of start that initial process of bringing in the potential candidates, having a way for people to, if they know somebody, to suggest that they go to the website. It would allow them, the protocol to send the information in. And it really allows us to have a homogeneous process for all candidates to kind of go through the same thing. Yeah, exactly.
And I would imagine that the part of that information that's out there is that parish profile, so that candidate can go through that link.
Exactly, and the parish profile is on that webpage. It was on there actually before we had the rector search emails and all that, and we're leaning heavily on that parish profile. A lot of the new rector is going to be greatly based upon that parish profile, so it's definitely on there.
Yeah, well, and I guess for me that's a part of this process that the congregation, everybody was really kind of a part of putting that together. It is the who are we, what is our DNA, what is our vision out there. So it's kind of the foundational component, if you will, in my mind, to this whole entire process.
No, that's a very good point. Actually, we during one of our meetings, we spent the majority of that meeting going through that parish profile, and it was actually a very good exercise for everybody on the search committee to really inwardly digest line by line that profile and what it all meant to us and what was valuable in areas and we just kind of expounded upon that. And again, I thought that was very helpful, and I really do think that it would be good for the church at large to do.
Yeah, and now that it's out there, it's easily accessible, and we've mentioned that a few times on our Ask the Abbey. So hopefully some folks have had that chance to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's dive down into a couple quick questions. We had 4 or 5 that have come through over the week, and hopefully these will answer those. And if not, please continue to send those questions in to Paula, and we'll make sure to continue to get those addressed. But we had a couple questions come in from folks about various specific candidates and how do they apply, which you just answered, or what's that process going to be? And I guess the one thing that I would say is, I mentioned it a few weeks ago, and Alan did as well, that the Abbey really deserves to go through this process. This process is meant to be a healthy process that ends up ultimately leading to our next leader. And I think it's important for any candidate out there, no matter where they come from or what church they come from or what have you, that they all go through the same vetting process. Because to me, what this process does is it really builds alignment with that parish profile.
It does.
And so by going through this process and by taking everyone through that process, at the end of the day, that we ensure really the ultimate goal of the Vestry Search Committee through this is that we end up ultimately with a candidate that is aligned with who we are. Because if there's misalignment, it creates challenges, right?
Exactly.
I mean, somebody that's at the head and leading the church that doesn't fall directly in line with who we are, you kind of get cattywampus a little bit, right?
And it gives us the stability to kind of know that, granted, we're going to rely on each other for a lot of the inner workings and getting everything and processing all the information, but it gives us something to rely on, and that points back to the parish profile.
Yeah, and I know a lot of folks, and again, I've said this, I'm so grateful to the countless numbers of people that have been praying throughout this process for the process itself, for our next leader. I know personally, I can kind of have a tendency to want to get ahead of God sometimes, and I think it's important, again, that we walk through this, let the Abbey walk through this as a church and not get ahead of God, because one of our prayers has been, God is building up that next leader for us. And so, we got to make sure we kind of walk through that.
And that leader's out there, and we've just got to get to that point in the process where it's revealed to us.
Yeah, what an awesome time to do. Scott, there was another question about where will our next rector come from? Is it got to be the Anglican mission or Anglican? What have you? So that question's come up, and I'm sure the search committee has touched on it at least a little bit. So how would your search committee answer that question, maybe?
So we're an Anglican Mission in America Church. So they will need to be in the Anglican Mission. If they're not in the Anglican Mission right now, one iteration out would be Anglican. Mm-hmm. If they're not in Anglican, then it's a greater. But they've got to be rooted in that Anglican walk. So it points us back to the parish profile. The parish profile points us towards that. But we're not limiting it just to AMIA active members right now. But they would have to begin that walk, and that would be part of the process, is bringing them into the fold.
And I understand the Anglican Mission's got a very specific process in order to become part of the Anglican Mission. Whether you're Anglican or not Anglican,
you'd have to go through the process of being presbyter, diaconate, all that. And so the closer you in, the shorter that process.
But it's interesting you say that, because again, it gets back to that alignment. If you read through that parish profile, you'll see that we are deeply rooted in Anglican tradition, and we are defining ourselves as an Anglican Mission church. So that candidate will need to be deeply rooted in that ultimately as well, which I think is, again, a great thing for that parish profile and what it created. So,
and it's really good to really get into that parish profile, because it kind of points us towards our own identity in so many ways.
And what an exciting time to figure out who's out there. So,
it is. It's a fun process so far. Again, I'm wanting to get some candidates in.
That's right. Another question that came up was, will we have the opportunity to hear the candidate preach one Sunday or what have you?
And I think I would think that would be part of. Hopefully, I can't wait to get to that part of the process. But I think that just makes sense. If it's feasible, again, as we kind of get to that process, we're going to cast a large net, and as we kind of refine it down, I would imagine that would be part of it. We're just not there yet.
Yeah, right. So there's kind of almost a phase 1 and a phase 2, if you will, once you start accepting candidates. Then.
And so we're going to get, obviously, resumes, answers to the questionnaires, and then we're going to compare that against, it's just like an interview process for anything.
Right. So once you narrow that initial pool of candidates down to something that financially is feasible to the church, you start to bring those people in. And in the search process I've been a part of before for an Anglican Mission church, it's the same thing we did. Mm-hmm. So everybody had an opportunity to hear them speak. You brought the candidates in. If I'm a candidate coming in, I want to see and feel and get to know a little bit too before I possibly uproot family from somewhere and move. Although Pawleys Island isn't a bad place to
I was going to say, because I look around outside of here, it's kind of a selling point.
Exactly. So we need to get them on site. Yeah. There was the last question that I saw was there were some questions just around the search committee itself, its formation and what have you. I guess my answer to that would be, that was another area where the vestry through this process felt it was important to really get the congregation's involvement. So we had that 3-week period where we accepted nominations, and I think we had somewhere between 25 and 30 parishioners nominated for that. So we collected all of those nominations and spent a couple hours as a vestry discussing that group, and ultimately ended up voting and ending up with what I think is a wonderful group of 7 people who I'm very grateful have spent some time in this process so far. So that's really it. Those were all the questions. Scott, thank you for joining us. I appreciate it.
I'll fill in any time for Alan.
Yeah,
this
that's
is
right.
kind of easy. So.
It's good to have you here.
Maybe I'll put my name in.
I hope Alan is enjoying a few days off in the mountains, I think starting tomorrow. So he'll have a little vacation coming up. And at any rate, God bless. Thank you all for everything. Look forward to seeing everybody here hopefully on Sunday. And for those that can't make it with us, we'll continue to live stream. But God bless, and talk to you soon.